Hello everyone, welcome back to Today News K Wave channel. Continuously judging? As if other people's lives were a stage free of comment. As if a smile that didn't meet public expectations was a mistake. Amidst all the noise, Jikook laughed. It wasn't a fake laugh, nor a laugh of validation, but the light laughter of two people in their own safe space. The world may be busy judging, guessing, and twisting meanings, but happiness never asks for permission to appear. Every time Jimin takes a step, there are always eyes watching. Body movements are analyzed, expressions are dissected, even silence is considered a statement. The standards attached to him are often inhumane, as if he must always be a certain version that is comfortable for everyone. But Jimin remains himself, in his own gentle, expressive, and honest way. Beside him, Jungkook is present not as a shield or a harsh statement, but as a consistent presence. Sometimes it's just a brief glance, a small laugh, or a shared moment that doesn't need to be announced. Many forget that behind the spotlight and media narrative, they are human beings who deserve to be happy without having to explain it. Judgment often comes from a safe distance, without empathy, without any effort to understand the context. What appears on the surface is taken as an absolute conclusion, when the reality is always far more complex. Jikook wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. They were simply going about their day, working, laughing, and sharing a comfortable space. There was something comforting about watching them laugh together. Not because of the sensation, but because of its honesty. The laughter wasn't meant to silence criticism, nor to provoke a reaction. It was simply present. And that's precisely where its power lies. When the world was busy arguing, they chose life. When opinions swirled endlessly, they chose simple joy. Judgment often stems from a need for control. When someone can't be controlled, they are judged, attacked, and forced into narrow boxes. Jimin experienced this time and again. But instead of shrinking, he continued to shine in his own way. Jungkook, with his calm and sincere presence, seemed to remind us that not everything has to be met with resistance. Sometimes, laughter is the most mature response. Their relationship, whatever label people want to attach to it, demonstrates one important thing: comfort. Comfort in being themselves without masks. Comfort in sharing small moments without fear of judgment from people who don't even know them personally. In a world that demands explanations for everything, Jikook shows that not everything needs to be explained. Some things just need to be lived. The public often forgets that happiness doesn't always look spectacular. Sometimes it comes in simple forms, like laughing together after a long day, or sharing a quiet moment in a crowd. Jikook captures that so naturally, and perhaps that's what makes some people uncomfortable. Because genuine happiness, without drama, often feels threatening to those accustomed to living in conflict. Constant judgment will never stop someone from being happy. It only shows how narrow the judge's perspective is. Jimin will still smile, Jungkook will still laugh, and life will go on. The world may be noisy, but happiness doesn't have to be screaming. It can be present quietly, gently, and consistently. Ultimately, Jikook's laughter isn't a sarcasm, but a reminder that amidst endless pressure, expectations, and opinions, choosing to be happy is a form of courage. They don't hide, they don't challenge, they simply live. And perhaps that's the hardest thing for those busy judging to accept. If the world wants to continue judging, go ahead. But Jikook will keep laughing. Together, happily, without any explanation. Sparkles. There's an irony that's hard to ignore when one person's happiness actually triggers another's anxiety. It's as if genuine laughter is a provocation, as if peace is a form of defiance. Jikook is right in the middle of that irony. The more they appear to be doing well, the louder the voices trying to disturb them become. But what's interesting is that they never seem preoccupied with responding. There's no over-explanation, no drama produced to satisfy the public's curiosity. There's simply continuity, togetherness, and consistency in being themselves. Jimin, with all his sensitivity, is often used as an object of projection. People attach their own assumptions, worries, and even fears to him. He's read not as an individual, but as a symbol of a narrative that outsiders want to shape. However, upon closer inspection, what's apparent is a calmness that grows over time. He doesn't disappear, doesn't fade, doesn't transform into the person the public demands. He evolves in his own way, and that's evident when he laughs carefree by Jungkook's side. Jungkook himself is often misunderstood as a shadow, but his presence is real and stands alone. He's not loud, doesn't dominate, but is always there. In a world that tends to overinterpret everything, such consistency often goes unnoticed. But that's precisely where healthy relationships shine. Not all closeness needs to be expressed with grand gestures. Sometimes, the most honest togetherness comes in comfortable silences and unplanned laughter. Public judgment often operates on flawed logic. What isn't understood is considered suspicious. What doesn't conform to the norms of the majority is considered wrong. In this context, Jikook serves as a mirror reflecting the collective fear of things that cannot be controlled. Their happiness doesn't follow the script some people want, and that's enough to spark an uproar. But again, they don't succumb. There's beauty in a silence that isn't passive. A silence that chooses not to explain, not because it's incapable, but because it's unnecessary. Jikook demonstrates this time and again. They let time do the talking, letting small moments shape their own story. And that story is never about defense, but about the continuation of life. Many forget that laughter can be the gentlest form of resistance. Not a resistance that attacks, but one that refuses to be belittled. When someone chooses happiness amidst pressure, they are demonstrating that the judgments of others do not have full control over their lives. Jikook does this in a very human way. They don't preach, they don't challenge. They simply exist and share space. Time after time, what remains is not the sound of judgment, but memories of warm moments. Laughter caught on camera, smiles that emerge spontaneously, a comfort that can't be faked. Such things cannot be engineered, and that's precisely why they feel real. The public may come and go with changing opinions, but genuine happiness always leaves a longer trail. In the end, the question of constantly judging is not a challenge, but a reflection. A reflection on why other people's happiness feels so disturbing to some. Jikook never asks to be fully understood. They simply show that life can be lived lightly, even if the world isn't always friendly. And amidst all the noise, their laughter still rings out, simple, honest, and joyful. Perhaps that's the most powerful message. That happiness doesn't always need justification. That togetherness doesn't have to meet anyone's expectations. And that, in the midst of endless judgment, choosing to laugh together is the most humane decision. Sparkles. So before this video truly ends, one thing to remember. Behind all the opinions, speculation, and judgment that continue to emerge, they are still human beings who deserve to be happy. Jikook doesn't live to meet anyone's expectations, and perhaps that's precisely why their laughter feels so genuine. If the world continues to judge, so be it. They choose to laugh, choose to be comfortable, and choose to live life their own way. Thank you to those of you who watched until the end and chose to see with a more open heart. If you agree that happiness doesn't require permission from anyone, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with those who are still busy judging without understanding. Until next time, stay wise, stay warm, and most importantly, let others be happy in their own way. Sparkles.